How are you doing? Today I'm going to talk about what's next, about what the baddies might have up their sleeve and what the goodies might have up their sleeves too. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. Before I get into the main subject, I wanted to talk about a message that I got from a lady, and I'm sure she's called Lisa, at least on YouTube she's called Lisa. And I've looked for the message and I can't find it. I don't know what happened to it. But it was in response to a video that I made where I was saying that the people who have got these little hats on are having an extremely hard time at the moment. It's almost as though everybody's waking up to an agenda that's been going on for a long time. And it's very interesting to watch what's happening. And the message came through, and it was from, if I've got your name wrong, I'm sorry, maybe that's why I couldn't find it, but I thought it was somebody called Lisa. She often comments. And she was saying that she lives in Israel, and that she and many people that she knows are really, really suffering from PTSD. That's what she was saying. She said, we are in a state of constant fear, wondering what on earth's going on. And it really struck me because, you know, what's the easy thing that we have, that we can do, the very easy thing, is to broad brush something and to say, well, it's all of those, yeah? And I've done it. I've done it in my life. You know, I remember my attitude toward Americans. I mean, there's 350 million of them. I haven't met them all. But for me, Americans were this, that, and the other, yeah? And then I got to know them and I found out that they were beautiful people and, you know, just like us, but with a bit more oomph. You know, when I say us, I'm talking about the Brits, but with a bit more, you know, a bit more positive, I think. Yeah, have a great day. Have a great day. Yeah, whereas we say, okay, make the most of it. It mightn't last. Yeah, that's kind of our way that we come toward those things. The Americans are going, yeah, hey, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to buy these groceries. You know, whereas we wouldn't be excited. We wouldn't, and if we were, we wouldn't tell people that we were excited. So, you know, and I admire Americans that they're much more open about their emotions and their feelings and everything, and they can get excited over little things, whereas we have to have something massive to get excited about. Otherwise, we just say, carry on. Now, where was I? Yes, so I was talking about Lisa, and I heard a comic talking the other day. And what I'm aware of is this. Now that the doors have been opened to this, many people are now, who kept quiet for fear of being cancelled and everything. Now everybody's speaking out. Well, this comic was talking about Israel being in this thing with Iran, yeah? And he was saying, I have to force myself not to feel glee about seeing those places being hit, yeah, in Israel. And I thought, and people laughed, and I thought, this is a problem, isn't it? This is the problem that we have, because we assume that what the government does there represents the people, and it doesn't. And it doesn't. Not at all. Absolutely not. You know that the Prime Minister of Israel is being taken to court and being investigated for the usual political corruption crimes, and that very, very frequently there are protests in the streets against what they're doing by the very people who live there. And that's what this message was saying, that we are not happy with what's going on. We don't want it to happen, but we can't stop it. And this is the same. Imagine everything that the UK is doing at the moment. You know, so many people do not want to be happening what's happening. You know, all of this corruption, all of this mass immigration of people that are coming from countries that are not war-torn. They're just coming in. You know, it's the same here in Spain. People are coming from Morocco Right? There's nothing happening in Morocco. There are no wars, there's nothing. They're not fleeing from anything. They're just coming here because the gates have been opened. And so we could criticize the country, but not the people. We couldn't imagine saying, yes, all the British people are bad because look what they're allowing to happen. No, they're not. It's got nothing to do with us. Now it's very patently clear, is it not, that we have fuck all to do with what's going on. The vote means nothing. Democracy means nothing. We have nothing to do with it whatsoever. If anything, if we do have something to do with it, it's through making our voices heard on the media and social media, so that they think, oh, we better just ease off on that. And I know that's happened a lot with the things that they've tried, the new strains, all these new strains coming out. They keep mentioning them just to see what the reaction is, and everyone's going, fuck that, you can shove that where the sun don't shine. And so they don't bother. They come and they go. Have you noticed that they keep all the time? They keep trying them. Like, let's try this one. Let's see what this one. I just heard the other day, and a brand new strain of COVID is coming out, and it's extremely virulent. And that was coming from somebody who I perceived to be awake, who weren't, and they were selling it. And I thought, are they still on with that old chestnut? Is that still happening? However, people don't want the stuff that the governments are doing, and that is worldwide. And I know that in Israel, it's the same situation. Yes, of course, there'll be people who want, of course, but not many. Generally, it's the politicians. And I see that in the US with the same conflict. Nobody wants it, but the politicians are pretty groovy, relaxed and groovy about it. In fact, they're quite excited about it. So, just wanted to mention that we must mentalize that what a country does has nothing to do with its people. Nothing to do with its people at all. So, getting on to the main subject, although that's a very important subject that we just talked about. The main subject is what's next? What's happening? I asked the emissaries, what is going to happen now? Things have settled down a bit. It was all a bit, ooh, and now it's settling down a bit. And so the emissary said, okay, so we are moving into a period of stability. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. And they said that the stability will be the beginning of the awakened people starting to build what they want, to build the structures, the communities, the whatever that they want. Yeah, that's where our focus is going to be. And I'm kind of hearing these echoes of maybe it's time to stop focusing on this and start focusing on working in the community, start focusing on building. I've heard a few of the people who've spent a lot of years providing information, looking through the microscope at everything, saying maybe it's time to do something else. Maybe it's time to start working on something a bit more productive, I suppose. I'm not saying that what's been happening hasn't been productive. Of course it has. It's been waking up the masses. But maybe now it's time. But that's what the emissary said, that it's time to start looking at what it is that we can now start to materialise properly. Of course, they said the baddies are still going to be doing their thing. And I said, so what is their thing? And they said, well, the baddies' job now is to bring an end to themselves. They said that their role now, their actual job is to self-destruct. And boy, they're doing a good job, aren't they? They're doing a fantastic job, miles better than we could ever do. In fact, we've been talking about them for ages. It doesn't matter. People weren't interested. But boy, have they started to self-destruct. Have they started to the serpent that starts eating its own tail. That's where they are. And they repeated this. And they said, it is not our job to bring down the baddies. It's their job. They're doing it. And we have to get on with our stuff. And I thought, that's nice. That's nice to know that they're going to do it themselves. And they are. And that we see that. I mean, they just couldn't be any more overtly crap at what they're doing. I mean, they are really bad. And it looks, I've heard people say, are they doing this on purpose? And I wonder if they are. I wonder if they're, even without knowing, if they're just following their little script. Like, and now we've got to make ourselves look like twats. Now it's the twatful time. And I asked the emissary, but like, they're going to bring an end to their own thing and, you know, try and create new stuff that doesn't work or whatever. And I said, it seems like a long process. And the emissary said, it isn't as long as you might imagine, because they said that the world, the people who are going to wake up, all right, not everyone's going to wake up, but the people who are going to wake up, they said they're primed. The light bulb moment has been programmed in. And all they need is that one little bit of stimulus that's going to switch the light on. They go, what? And then they're awake. And the emissaries were saying that it's been programmed into their unconscious, their subconscious. This light bulb moment, it's about to happen. You know, and we've all had it. We've all had that. Hang on a minute. What's this? The light bulb moment. And everyone's going to have it. The people who are going to wake up. Remember, not everyone. Not everyone. And so what's our job? Well, our job is to start building what it is that we want in whatever way. You know, I've had this message for the last year, for sure. But before it was start making plans for what it is that you want to build. Start making plans. Now the message is now start the plans. Now is the time to start the plans. Fab. Brilliant. So, and I've got to get my thinking cap on. What do I want to do? What would I like to do? I don't know. I'm going to wait for a bit of inspiration, but I'm sure that there's stuff that I can do on a practical level as well. What would you do? Put in the comments, please. I'd love to know. What ideas do you have? What would you like to do? And, you know, don't be fooled into thinking that it's got to be something enormous. It can be something as close as your family, as close as just you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be for everyone. But that building, that creating sends out a message, sends out an energy, sends out a light to everybody else. So don't think that anything that you might do for yourself is selfish. No, it's for you and for everybody else, because everyone gets the benefit. So yeah, I'd like to know in the comments what you might be building and how excited you feel about it. I love you all, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.